Afternoon again. Rusty here, or Arthur W. Myers III. If you've read the book and you see that nice big name, that's my dad's a junior, I'm a third, and when I wrote the book, I wanted to honor him by using my full name and not my nickname, which is Rusty, of course. Last episode was pretty heavy because it's the one that's probably the most important. It's the one directed at that officer sitting in the driveway. But this one is different. This one is what happens after survival, right? Not the pain of going through it, not your darkest night, maybe not the day you did stare at your gun a little too long, not the investigation. This one's about that morning after, that morning when the sun rises, the comeback, the people who showed up, who you should celebrate, the lessons you learned, a chance to rebuild your life. The fact that one chapter, even a brutal one, doesn't get to be the whole book. You could be tattered and not be finished. The last episode was heavy because it needed to be. We talked to the officer sitting in the driveway, the one that's going through it right now, that needs to get help and needs to talk to someone. But today I want to talk about something just as important. What happens when you stay? What happens when you make it to the next morning? Because the truth is, the worst chapter of your life may feel final when you're living it. But later when you look back, you realize it was not the end. It was just another chapter. It was the turn, to use a literary note. We want clean endings, right? Hollywood teaches us about clean endings. We want to be cleared, restored, vindicated, back to normal. But healing doesn't happen that way. You know, if you break your arm, you don't just one day say, oh, it's fixed, I'm good to go. No, there's a process. There's that bandaging, there's wearing that cast, getting your friends to sign it for months, then you take it off and your arm wants to float up, right? Anybody else have that happen? I remember that. The first victory might be a small one. For some, it might just be getting out of the driveway and telling someone they need to talk. Or maybe answering the phone. Or if you got a friend going through it, calling them. Going to counseling. I can't tell you how much we in law enforcement push that aside as, I don't need that. I'm fine. I don't need that. But my counselor helped me with stuff far beyond what I went there for. And to this day, I'm grateful to him. I consider him a friend. I know it's a professional relationship for him, but to me, he's a friend. If you need someone to sit with you, let him sit with you. Don't be afraid of silence. If you just need somebody to be with you, sit back and watch Big Bang Theory or something, right? Laugh a little bit together. See something funny. Let him sit there quietly. And if you're the person sitting there with your friend who's going through it, it's okay to just sit there and just be a presence. Because sometimes that's all we need is the presence of another to keep us from going and doing something stupid. Going back to work's pretty amazing. You know, I went back to the street for a little while. I've been off the road for 10 years, and my car had buttons and whistles in it that I did not know what they did. It was a different world, and it was valuable, though, because as a commander, you lose touch with the street when you're not in a car every day. So being back in a car for a couple of weeks was really a good experience for me. And I was only concerned about one person. That was nice, not being responsible for a squad or a team or anything, but that lasted a little while. There was a season for it, and it was good. I was sleeping through the night, working hard, laughing without feeling guilty. Little things matter. And sometimes the first win, though, is simply still being here. One of the greatest gifts in a hard season is finding out who your real people are. Not all those contacts in your phone, because I think I have like 800 or 900 contacts in my phone. It's the 6 or 8 that matter. That when they call at 3 in the morning, you know you're grabbing the phone. Not because they're the chief, but because, oh, that's my buddy. I gotta answer this. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Those people will surprise you. It won't always be the people you thought it would be. But they'll call. They'll sit with you. They'll show up at your door one day and say, you sounded down. Here I am. And your feeling, if you're the one going through it, might be, well, I was just kind of feeling good sitting here feeling sorry for myself. You had a friend come to see you. That's an amazing thing. Never forget that. They'll pray for you. You know, people talk about prayer, and I believe in prayer. I hope you do, because I've seen it. I've seen prayer save things. I've seen prayer change things for people, myself included. Prayer is powerful. And if your friends are willing to say, I'll pray for you, you know, as cops, we don't talk about God much. It's not something we're encouraged to talk about. We work for the government. We can't push a religion. But if your friend says, I'll pray for you, that's powerful. Take it. Enjoy it. They'll tell you the truth, right? You walk your friends through stuff and they'll tell you what's going to happen. They'll tell you this, they'll tell you that. Be prepared. Let them help you be prepared. The hard season showed me the value of the people who do not just talk about brotherhood, family, faith, or leadership. They live it. And it's not as big a group as you might think. Being tattered doesn't mean being destroyed. A torn flag could be mended. A torn flag can still fly. A scar can become a testimony. A painful chapter could be a survival guide for someone else. That's why I wrote Tattered. In my life as a police officer, the times that have been the toughest, the calls that were the hardest, were the ones that I walked into without knowing what I was getting in. And all of a sudden, you're having to make split-second decisions in your head. And if you get into something where you have to go through an investigation and you're sitting in your car and can't walk in the house, or you're staring at the gun locker too long, I want Tattered to be that survival guide for you to understand what's going to happen, for you to understand what's coming, to understand that the narrowing is a natural thing. When people that you thought were your friends don't call as much anymore because, oh, he's under investigation. Oh, it's scary. I don't want to get in trouble for talking to him. Understand that that's going to come. It's not going to make it necessarily easier, but for me as an officer, if I had 10 seconds to get my mind right before I walked into a call, it was a huge difference. And that's what Tattered is there for. It's to give you kind of a guide, what I went through. And you can go through it and see your own experiences playing out in the pages of Tattered. You know, I had a young lady going through some stuff tell me that every word in the book hit exactly what she was going through and exactly what she felt. And that is the greatest compliment I've received on my book. Because an officer going through it saw it, felt it, and understands it, and knows the sun's going to rise. Tattered says, I made it through and you can too. That's what it really comes down to. And probably the most important thing is that everything we do in life, everything that we go through, can become a lesson that God can use for us to help someone else, right? I was a training commander for 5 years. I went back when I was in training, used my experiences to go back and interject new energy into training and look at new things in training. And if I didn't go back on this 2 years of my life that were such a disaster and use it to train other officers what to expect and what to go to, then I wouldn't be true to myself. When you go through an investigation, a termination, public criticism, politics, organizational failure, people might try to reduce you to one word. Oh, he's a problem. He's a liability. He's accused. That guy got terminated. Controversial. Damaged goods. The labels are not your destiny. A season is not a sentence. You're more than the worst thing ever said about you. You are more than paperwork. You are more than the rumor. You're more than just a case file. Do not let a temporary label become your permanent identity. And the goal here is not to pretend it never happened. The goal is to become wiser because it happened. Lean into the learned experience. Share it. Help others going through it. Because I'll tell you, as a commander now, when I see guys going through stuff, I know what it feels like. And I could speak to them with an authority. And because I've been so open with writing this book, they know I've been through it. They know that I understand. And they are more willing to talk to me because of that. That's been an amazing thing to see, is some of the young men that have come and talked to me about stuff. It made me more compassionate, more alert to quiet officers, the ones that always say, I'm fine, or I'm doing good, I'm doing good, I'm doing good. More aware of people who might be on the edge because I know what's going on in their personal life. You know, maybe sometimes I know more than they know I know. And that might be why I dig. Remember, if they say I'm fine, what is that? That's the beginning of the conversation. I'm fine is never the end. I'm careful with what I say, with my words to them. And even if you're having to go through a disciplinary process, I'm still very careful how we present it, how that discipline comes across, how my presentation of that discipline comes across. Because we discipline out of love. We don't discipline out of anger or people we didn't like or hatred. We discipline to make them better, to make it part of training so that we have better officers. Guys, we throw away officers all the time that we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars training because they made one mistake. Now, there are some kisses of death that we can't help, right? We all know that. But we shouldn't be throwing out people when they make a mistake in the paperwork or they screw up an affidavit or something that's correctable. Something that's not an ethical problem can be fixed through discipline if it's treated as training and if it's treated out of love. I'm more committed to checking on officers. I try to make sure every day I hit one of them up with a little bit more than what's going on, how you doing, have a seat, sit down, let's talk a little bit. And I always tell them when they sit down in my seat that this is Rusty and so-and-so. This is not Deputy Chief. This is Rusty asking, how are you doing? Because I do have a title, I do have a job. But I want them to understand I'm coming to them as peer support here. This is Rusty. I see what you're going through. Let's talk about it a little bit. And if nothing else, Tattered has helped that because people are willing to talk to me now. Pain can make you more useful when you understand what others are going through as well. I wouldn't wish my experience on anybody, but I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to do my best to take what I went through to make this profession better, because we can be better, because we should not treat our people poorly. We talk about family and loving each other, and yet it seems like one of the easiest things in the world for many people is just to kick an officer to the curb when they make a mistake. You're out. That officer no longer works for this department. What a sad statement. You know, some people start to feel guilty too, because I'm happy. I love what I'm doing now. I work for a good department that I'm actually being able to kind of mold to what I want a department to be. I was happy at Somerville when I worked there too. Had a big impact on that department and what we were doing, and leaving there was hard. But after trauma, sometimes people feel guilty about being happy, and you shouldn't, right? It's not that you're not taking it seriously or that you didn't go through a lot of pain, but it's joy. Joy is not denial of what happened. Joy is not looking back at it and laughing about it. Joy is recovery. That's your brain healing itself. Just like that broken arm had to mend in multiple ways for months before you were able to take that cast off. Your mind has to mend too. Your attitude has to mend as well. And if you're not getting back to joy, then you need to go back and see your counselor some more. You still got some stuff to work through, right? Every day should be a good one, and we should be looking forward to it and saying, thank you, God, for this beautiful day, for the sun to rise, and for me to have been blessed enough to be here. So I'm really grateful my story didn't end where I thought it might, because I was wrong. I'm super grateful for the people who stepped in. I name them in the book. I'm proud to say they're my friends. And if they call me at 3 a.m, I'm getting out of my bed and going to them because they were there for me. And it was amazing. Never let your worst chapter be your final chapter. Stay in the fight. Stick it out. Work through it. Because we are the peacemakers. The world needs us. And the blue line is thin enough. You're important. And we want you on those calls with us. Because if you were in a fight, I would back you up. And if the fight you're in is up here, find backup. Thank you.